Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new Jurassic World Rebirth video. Over the last few days, unfortunately I did have some technical errors, so it was quite difficult to make a video, but nevertheless we've sorted at least most of them out. But if some things are a little bit different throughout this video, then I do deeply apologize. But in today's video, once again we're focusing on one of the characters of Jurassic World Rebirth, Duncan Kincaid. Honestly, arguably one of the best characters of the movie, if it wasn't for Bobby Atwater, that is. But I feel as though Duncan actually has a lot to this character, especially considering the fact that the studio and the director of Jurassic World Rebirth were conflicted whether or not to leave him alive at the end of the movie. If you want more information about that, then you can go check out one of my previous Rebirth videos about how the original ending for Jurassic World Rebirth was meant to be. But yes, it seems as though there's a lot of story to Duncan. One story that really intrigued me after watching the movie 13 times now is regarding his son. Now I know most people won't really think too much about it, but for the sake of the lore, I'm of course going to be very interested. Just before the events of Jurassic World Rebirth. So if that intrigues you and or you enjoy this video at any given moment, then don't hesitate to press that like button. Feel free to also subscribe to the channel if you're new around here for your daily dose of Jurassic content on YouTube. But for now, let's finally get into the video about what happened to Duncan's son in Jurassic World Rebirth. So throughout Jurassic World Rebirth, whether you enjoyed the movie or hated the movie, it certainly had some of the best characters of the whole entire franchise. I think for the very first time, you had a movie where there were just simply no unlikable characters throughout it. It was very thoroughly enjoyable, and I sat there thinking I was probably going to hate Xavier quite a lot. He wasn't exactly the character I was expecting him to be, but after some time I warmed up to him and I thought he got a lot better. But Duncan Kincaid always interested me the most. I feel as though there's a lot of emotion to that character, but a kind of hidden type of emotion. And at first, you know, when you see him, he's very nonchalant, he's very chill, he doesn't really show his emotions too much, but then he starts to open up a little bit and you learn why. So there are a few little comments made throughout the movie, but they kind of stop the moment after they arrive at the island. During a very touching emotional scene between Zora and Duncan, they open up between each other, and then Zora asks Duncan about his relationship status. And obviously, it seems as though he was already in a relationship, and then he mentioned how once they looked at each other, all they could see were their little boy. Now at first, when you hear something like that, you imagine something like a divorce happening and, you know, taking away his son. But the comment he made doesn't come across like that at all. It kind of feels as though something happened to their son. So immediately, the way that I saw him depressed and he kind of said we, as in the mother of his son and himself, I start to realize that it's quite a sad story. His son has passed away, but we don't really know exactly how or why. But there are some little hints and details fluttered throughout the movie that kind of explains a little bit more than you initially think. So judging by that comment, we know Duncan's son has passed away, but how? So further on in the movie, after they save the Delgado family, Ruben is kind of grilled by Duncan for bringing his children out into the ocean. He's very angry and he even says, "You should know better, shouldn't they be at school?" And then Ruben fires back with a very sarcastic, "They're on summer break." But with Duncan being very angry that Ruben put his children in danger, this is where Zora steps in and says something very interesting. She looks him in the eye and basically says, "We know you're not mad at him," aka Duncan being mad at Ruben. So to say that type of comment and for Duncan to realize, yeah, that's true and kind of not engage in the conversation anymore, that makes me realize and sit there and think, wow, he's actually mad at himself. But why is he mad at himself? Well, firstly, we got to think of the factor that he is only mad at Ruben because he put children in danger at water. Now, when we use that logic with Duncan's character and who he is, it seems as though his son may have died at water as well. Because the only reason why Zora would say that is to say that Duncan is actually mad at himself because he put his own son in danger and was most likely in the ocean at the same time. Now when we look at Duncan's character, he obviously has his own boat called the Essex, so he sails from coast to coast. Again, in Suriname, he was on the coast of Suriname. And Zora even says that Duncan is the best she knows at getting people in and out of places, which is relatively easy when you're on the border of an ocean. So this guy certainly works on the water a lot. So it is safe to say that Duncan was mad at himself because his son died in the ocean, probably doing something that Duncan wanted to do as well, maybe something in line with his work. But just a little bit later in the movie, after they escape the Spinosauruses and the Mosasaurus, and unfortunately Bobby Atwater dies as well, he then crashes his own boat onto the island, and he looks so scared, but the first thing he reaches out for is a photo of his own son. He looks very distraught, but also relieved at the same time when he looks at the photo of his son, but then he also says a very interesting quote saying, "We made it." So with him looking at his son and looking relieved and feeling relieved, and then saying, "We made it," I think that something happened to his son at water, and it actually involved some other aquatic reptiles. So with him saying "we made it" after escaping, the Spinosaurus and the Mosasaurus, that leads me to believe that last time they didn't make it. Not both of them at least, just his son. The way it comes across seems as though they didn't escape the last encounter. So judging by everything we know, the fact that his son died, the fact that he's mad at Ruben for bringing kids into a dangerous scenario on the sea, the fact that Duncan works a lot on the sea and we presume has done in his past as well, and the fact that he went straight to the photo of his son after crashing the boat and saying that "we made it," all of it adds up. It seems as though that Duncan unfortunately lost his son at sea to probably some kind of aquatic reptile. Unfortunately, we won't really know, but that does imply that maybe it wasn't the Mosasaurus, because I'm sure he probably wouldn't tackle the Mosasaurus, and of course the Spinosauruses again, considering what might have happened last time. So that does imply that something else happened at sea. Either maybe his kid ended up drowning, or there's actually another aquatic reptile somewhere out there in the deep. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Whilst it's not clear cut exactly what happened to Duncan's son, there are a few pointers and indicators in Jurassic World Rebirth that implies that they lost his son at water. Now, whether this is by a dinosaur attack or whether this is just from him drowning in general, all we know so far is that his son is unfortunately dead and that it was most likely at sea. The other details are a little bit hazy, but there are some things to kind of suggest what exactly happened. But that adds so much more depth to his character when you start to realize that this man lost his son, he lost his wife, and then he goes on to lose 3 of his friends in the movie as well. It's gut-wrenching, it really is heartbreaking, and you start to feel for the character even more. Whilst I do think killing him off right at the very end as a sacrifice would have been a much better ending, I'm still pleased that we do get to see him alive and hopefully his return in Jurassic World Rebirth sequel happening in 2028. But if you enjoyed today's video, then go ahead and leave a like. If you think that I educated you a little bit more on what might have happened here, of course leave a like as well. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, make sure you're subscribed for your daily dose of Jurassic content. But most importantly, make sure you're all staying safe out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye. Hey, did you enjoy the video? Well, why not leave a like and subscribe for more Jurassic content? I appreciate every single one of you for reaching this point into the video and supporting me this far. If you wish to support me even further, then feel free to head on down to the description where you can find links to donate, my Patreon, and you can also press that join button to become a member here on YouTube and gain access to some awesome emojis. A massive thank you to all of the YouTube members for this month, as well as the amazing fans over on Patreon too. Your extra bit of support really goes a long way. But for now, I wish you a great rest of your day.